All right, you guys, welcome back to the Kai LaVeo channel once more. Hit that subscribe button, share the video as we take a deep dive. Shout out to CBC News as dating app Bumble does a massive layoff and job cuts. Ouch. But then this shit is fake anyway, so I don't feel bad. Let's see what they're talking about, and I'll give my personal opinion in between these conversations.
The company behind Bumble is the latest to join a growing list of dating app providers to lay off hundreds of employees. The Texas-based online dating platform plans to lay off about 1/3 of its workforce, a move that could save up to $40 million.
Damn, that's a lot. I didn't even know Bumble had that many people working for them to be able to save 40 million. So I'm assuming these people that work for Bumble are getting some good paychecks, or at least they were.
U.S. for that company. And a month earlier, Match Group, who owns Tinder, Hinge, and OkCupid, also announced plans to cut about 13% of its workforce. So what does this mean for hopeless romantics turning to these dating apps? For that, we're joined by Trina Orchard. She is an anthropologist and associate professor at the School of Wealth Studies at Western University, and she's also the author of Sticky, Sexy, Sad, Swipe Culture, and the Darker Side of Dating Apps. Trina joins us from London, Ontario. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so let's start with those growing number of layoffs we're seeing at a number of different dating platforms. And in part, that's...
And see, I like that shirt she got on, by the way. And she has a bunch of tattoos all over her arms and on the side of her neck. She looks like a lot of fun, I ain't gonna lie. I'll say she's about in her mid-40s, maybe a little older. But it's women like that you'll see at those mixer events. And women like this tend to be very open-minded and a lot of fun. It's women like this, they'll suck the skin off of your third leg. And anything else y'all do will be top tier. Yes, indeed.
It's because they are seeing fewer revenues and fewer users.
Yeah, people are swiped out. Dating apps are increasingly expensive. There's more bots, there's more sort of swindler type behavior happening, and fewer people are using them in meaningful ways. And so I think a lot of folks are just thinking it's not worth their time and effort.
As a man, no, it's not. Because let me tell you why. Because they've even, not just Bumble, but a few platforms, which pretty much Match owns the dating app galaxy, but they're charging men to interact with these girls just by reading the messages. So basically you're paying what, $20-$30 a month just to read messages that a female sent you, and the females on the platform are interacting with the guys for nothing. So basically they're charging the guys and not the women. It's similar to going to the club. You're waiting in line against the wall outside while you see these girls just coming up to the bouncer and they're just getting in for free. They just roll out the red carpet for them. So that's another reason why. So it's the same thing. And the rise of the AI bots, half of the people you're talking to on here are just a computer. And their goal is not for you to meet your perfect match. Their goal is to keep you on there, to keep trying to talk to people, because most of the people you talk to on there, you're not going to meet.
So maybe not worth their time and effort, but they're still looking for a connection. Do you think we're seeing sort of a shift in how people want to approach that search?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially post-pandemic, people are pretty hungry for person-to-person interactions, and younger generations don't have a lot of experience in that particular way of interacting, but they're hungry to learn. And they're increasingly the ones who are putting down the dating apps more so than older generations.
I think this, for people that are like in their 20s, they're in their college years, if they're living on campus or just taking, classes at a university, that's like your best bet. That's your best bet. And then it's like, I don't think those people are using it heavily as people that are burdened with their careers and everything else. So it's certain types of people that are using this. I say these are the after college graduates that are mostly on these dating apps.
And so in terms of sort of that hunger to find a different path to find love, what are we seeing an increase in? Where are people going then?
So there's a whole lot of options that people can choose instead of dating apps. And that includes things like speed dating, running clubs are sort of the new dating app in a lot of ways. There's also dating coaches. We see different AI platforms being used as well. People are going to parties where they can pitch their friends. So there's lots of alternatives that are emerging.
I'll say this. As a man, if you don't have your own spot, don't even bother with this shit. Because these women on here are looking for sponsorship. I mean, they're looking for the top 10% guys. They're looking for CEOs and executives. They're not looking for guys that work at a plant. They're not working for guys that work at Amazon, Wayfair warehouses, shit like that. No. You got to be up there on the totem pole. You got to drive the BMW X7 and you know, expensive cars and all. They're looking for that. They're looking for a lifestyle. They're looking for guys that live in the luxury condos, the high rises. So that's another thing that's disqualifying a lot of guys on there, because all I'm seeing is complaints about nobody getting no matches.
Now, you talked a little bit about what's leading to the burnout, and certainly we've seen in terms of the numbers. For example, a research firm, Sensor Tower, in 2024 said that worldwide monthly active user growth for dating apps slid 10% year over year. So it's not just a North American thing. Globally, there are fewer people who are turning to these dating apps.
Yeah, I think it's also a product of sometimes technology has run its course. You know, this was the first version of dating apps. So I think the industry is kind of in a bit of a crisis, or it could be seen as a phase to pivot and really reflect on what reviewers and users are saying that they want instead. So it's not necessarily the end of dating apps, but it's really up to the companies whether or not they're willing to be flexible in adapting their product.
See, here's the interesting part. I did my experimenting with dating apps back in the early 2010s. And it was actually fun back then because you would actually get more matches, and more than likely you'd meet up. I met up with a few of the girls that I have matched with on those dating apps. But over time, people got even more pickier. It was crazy. Because due to the rise of, you know, Instagram and Facebook and everything, people's bragging rights and everything, it's like it just changed everything and shifted. So I mean, now it's a little different. So it's like, okay, but now you have to be careful of people not using their real names. People aren't telling you their real names. It's just like dealing with sex workers. When you first meet them, they're not going to tell you your real name. They're going to give you an alias. You don't know if these people have criminal records. You know what I mean? Like, the people that you meet online are the ones that you don't want to bring back to your spot if you do have your own spot. So it's a lot of bullshit and lying on there too. And then keep in mind that these women are talking to several other guys too, and not just you.
You know, of course, as an anthropologist, you also study sort of the trends of human behavior and how things can swing. And certainly we know that there has recently been sort of this move towards digital detox and getting offline. And perhaps part of that might be moving towards a more organic way of finding people to connect with. Do you think we're seeing the pendulum swing in that different direction towards a more kind of what some might call old-fashioned meetings and connections, not just romantic relationships, but relationships in general?
Friends of friends. Old school social engineering. Nothing can trump that. These dating apps cannot trump old school social engineering. Okay? So it's like the best places to meet people is to be outside. First of all, you have to leave your house. A lot of you are on the Xbox and the PlayStation just gaming all day and then complain that you ain't meeting no women. Yeah, because you're not going outside. At least take a stroll down the street to the nearest park, the nearest mom and pop cafe where you see a lot of people in there. You can go to conventions. What's coming up? Go to a car show or something. I don't know. There's just so much stuff going on now. Whether it's a tech event, you're bound to meet some people. But I wouldn't recommend mixers because usually mixers are for like the older crowd. You know, when I checked out some mixers, depending on the demographics of where you live at, I live in a very affluent area. Even if I drive down to Santa Clara, even more affluent, right? It's the tech. It's like part of the tech world. Those are where all your tech people are at, and you could tell these people, their careers just swallowed them, so they look kind of lifeless. They have the turtleneck going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, especially post-pandemic, I think that was a real motivator. We were very lonely and locked up and isolated during that time, relying so much on technology. And I think we have a lot of evidence in our own personal lives about the negative impact that a lot of digital dependency and social media use can bring. And so people are wanting to sort of push back against that and look at more analog ways of connecting.
So do you think this is sort of going to be a long-term change or shift that we might see?
I think it will be. I think dating apps are going to be around for a while, but only if the companies sort of pivot and sort of respond to what users think. I think AI is going to be increasingly part of our romantic landscape, but then I also think that the more traditional or old-fashioned way of doing things is also here to stay. So people have a wealth of choice actually now.
Like I said, AI is not going to trump social engineering. But I'll tell you what AI is going to trump, though. OnlyFans. So this is going to push a lot of women into some kind of sex work, sadly. I mean, damn, how much worse can things get, right? It is what it is.
Trina, I want to thank you for your thoughts on this today. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
That was
Wow, she's cool. She's so open-minded. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is now. So you guys, don't pay for these dating apps. It's not worth it. They don't want you to find your perfect match and then you cancel the subscription. No, they want to keep you on there to hope that you're going to find your match. And then next thing you know, 2 or 3 years later, you're still on there paying for the subscription. Nah, forget that, man. Anyway, it's Kyle Lavelle. Hope you liked this video. Peace.